No, there's 5. 2 of them were dummies. We need to let you know which are
1, 2, 3,
dummies.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, we counted correctly. Somebody sent you inaccurate.
Yes. I
We'll
probably
find out which one's
could you do that for
correct.
me? Yes.
What did I give you?
I've got 7 questions.
Oh, the copy that is right is what I have provided. So
In here?
I must have given you, yes, I must have given you the other copy.
Oh, okay. So it's in there? Okay.
Every one of the right ones are back here.
You got it. Perfect. I'll take that out right now.
You might want to do that for all of them.
I'll do it between the break.
Okay. As long as you are, they're in the order too, we'd like to make it.
You got it.
Okay? All right?
I'm just going to place it right in. No, it's perfect. Dude, shut up. Say a prayer for me.
I will. I'm interceding for you.
I'm going to start with, let's get ready to rumble.
Good to see you.
Likewise.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you could be taking your seats. I know we have a few folks that are walking in now, so we appreciate you coming in. We are about to begin. We do want to welcome you tonight and appreciate everyone showing out. Of course, I know our candidates are eager to talk this evening. We do want to make a note for all the candidates. On this side here, we've asked our Republican candidates to please have a seat, and then our Democratic candidates over here. Our folks, so once we begin, we will be using this podium for our Democratic candidates and our Republican candidates on this side. As a part of our program this evening, we're so excited to have Ms. Helena Birdwell with us. She's going to do a quick overview of our elections process this year in Barren County, where to vote, and any questions that folks may have, hopefully she'll address. So please welcome Ms. Birdwell.
Hey y'all. Fancy, Brent, all these lights on me. I'm just glad I didn't trip coming up the stage and I can't see anything. So just to let y'all know, no pressure when you get up here, you can't see anything. I'm so excited and humbled to serve you all and continue serving you as your Barren County clerk. As you asked for, we have added additional voting centers for this November 8th election. In case you all didn't know, we have an election on November the 8th here in Kentucky and Barren County. Our 8 locations are as follows: Barren County High School Gym, Haywood Volunteer Fire Department, Austin Volunteer Fire Department, Beckton Community Center, Temple Hill Volunteer Fire Department, Park City Lions Club. It was almost a Park City Fire Department, but my daddy said, Haley, we voted there all my life. So we're going right back to the Park City Lions Club. High School Volunteer Fire Department and the K-City Convention Center. So y'all remember, voting centers are super special because that means you can go to any one of these locations across the county, no matter where you live, and vote. Your ballot is going to be there. So if you're looking to vote for a particular magistrate that is in your district or you're in their district, then they're going to be on your ballot. Whether you live in Austin and go up to Park City to vote, or if you live in Park City and go down to Haywood. You can go anywhere you want, whatever's most convenient for you. But I encourage y'all to take advantage of early voting. We hope to have a huge turnout for early voting just like we did in 2020 and in May of this year. November 3rd, 4th, and 5th from 8 to 4:30, all 3 days, you can vote at the UK Extension Office, and hopefully everybody knows where that's at. That's where we voted at last time. 8 to 4:30, right there at the Extension Office. That means Saturday, 8 to 4:30. That's super awesome for folks that work out of town or college kids that need to come home. Bring them home. November the 5th, 8 to 4:30 on a Saturday. Vote there early with us, and the 3rd and 4th. If you meet the criteria, so that's no excuse. Anyone that wants to vote early can vote those 3 days. If you know that you're going to be leaving to go to Florida for the next 2 months and you want to vote before that, starting October the 26th through November 2nd, you can come to the county clerk's office and vote early. So however you vote, Barren County, we just want y'all to vote, support these local candidates. I'm so grateful to know these folks, call them my friends. I wish everybody the best of luck, and I'm excited to hear from y'all tonight. Thank you, Brennan, and you, and everybody that's been involved in putting on this forum.
Thanks for that overview, Helena, and again, it's important that everyone knows that. Try to spread the word, because over the last couple of years, as many of you know, it's been difficult trying to get that word out. A lot of folks are unfamiliar with that process, so we're hoping that we can get everyone to get that through, this evening through this process, and then, of course, continued promotion of that. So without further ado, this evening, we are going to begin our forum. We do have a few guidelines we'd like everyone to be aware of, which our moderator will be going over in just a moment. And we do want to welcome our moderator for the evening. It's Mr. Greg Farrell. Greg, if you will go ahead and wave to everyone and take your place. Mr. Farrell will tell you a little bit about himself in just a moment. Don't take it personal. He will be facing the candidates for the duration of our forum. And of course, once he begins talking, he will be talking to you all too, though he won't be facing you. We're going to turn the floor over to him, and we, of course, want to make preparation for our first bit of candidates. He'll welcome you to the stage in just a moment. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Barren County, and welcome to the 2022 Candidates Forum. Tonight, the Barren County citizens are being provided an opportunity to hear from the candidates for public office in Barren County. In November of 1863, Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address in one of the most difficult, no doubt probably the most difficult time in our nation's history. He approached the people of Gettysburg with what is considered to be one of the greatest speeches ever given. In that emotional moment during the Civil War, he stated one of the most coherent principles of democracy. He stated that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. This evening, that principle will guide this forum. It is the people of this county that are asking the questions. The candidates are being asked to respond to the questions that have been received by the committee from the citizens of this community. In a demonstration of the true freedom of this nation, it is obvious that the people must always have the right to be heard from. However, in the spirit of American democracy, it is essential also that the candidates always be given the right to speak. Today, in such a critical time in American history, tonight is proof that the ideals upon which this nation, this Commonwealth, and this beautiful county were built on are still alive, they're still well. On behalf of the citizens of this great county, I wish to thank the candidates for endeavoring to answer one of life's highest callings, that to serve your fellow man. Regardless of the outcome of this year's elections, you are to be applauded for your willingness to run. So tonight, it was made possible. It was made possible by several sponsors, and we'd like to recognize them now. The McDonald's of Glasgow, Colton Steakhouse and Grill, Waldberg Trucking, HVAC Services, Glasgow Electric Plant Board, Southern Kentucky Collision, Monticello Banking Company. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together and please thank those who have made this evening possible. Also, we need to give a big shout out to the political committee, the committee that has put this event together, this forum, for also their dedicated service, their willingness to hear from, accumulate from the community citizens the questions that lie most deeply on their heart. These questions have not been adjusted except for possibly editing it for clarity. They gathered all the questions and they put them together and sought out the majority of the questions and thoughts and desires of the community. So tonight it's important for you to understand these questions are coming from the citizens of this county. Also, thank you so much, WCLU News, for what they're doing to bring this to everyone who was not available to be in this room. As Brennan said, my name is Greg Farrell. I'm the pastor of Crossing Community Church. I'm deeply, deeply honored to be the moderator for tonight's forum, and just for the sake of complete transparency, it's important for everyone to know that I am a resident of Warren County, and I am not a voting member of this community. This evening, we have rules that have already been provided to the candidates. They have been provided this in advance, and so these rules will not be a surprise to them. Some of these apply to the candidates, some of them will apply to you that are in this room. So I want to read those rules. We will probably not read them a second time. So if you're a candidate in this room this evening and you would like to have these rules read to you again, when you ascend the steps into your position for tonight's forum, just ask me and I would be glad to go back over the rules one more time. The rules this evening selected by the committee. Be courteous and respectful to your opponent. No speaking over them will be allowed. Obviously, no foul or inappropriate language will be accepted. This evening also, we allow no rebuttals. The rebuttal definition is this. After a question has been asked and it has been answered by both candidates, that question cannot and will not be revisited. So when we ask question number 2, we will not allow the candidate to go back to question number 1 to try and speak about what the other person had previously said. We will interrupt you and we will stop that at that moment, because we want to be able to continue and get answers for all the questions that the citizens of this great community have asked. Also, candidates, at no time is there to be any interaction with the audience. And audience, we would ask you also, please be mindful. Do not interrupt the candidate, whether you agree or disagree, because their time is limited. We will not stop the time except for disturbances. So we're asking you to please allow them to speak through their 2.5 minutes as they answer the question, if you would please. Candidate, you're going to answer the first question. The candidate, that will answer the first question will be the one that's appearing on the ballot first. From that point forward, we will go back and forth, and the other candidate number 2, will answer question number 2 first. I will be the full facilitator of this forum. You are allowed no prepared notes. The questions were provided in advance, and so we want you to be as open without notes as possible. And also, candidates will receive 2.5 minutes of time per question. When 30 seconds are remaining, the moderator will raise his hand so the candidate can see that they are down to 30 seconds. That will be the last notification that you'll be given that your time is about to run out. Last but not least, we would really appreciate no interruptions during a candidate speaking. So, with no further ado, we're going to move on into our first forum for the first office in this Barren County election season, and that is for Barren County Judge Executive candidates. The incumbent Democrat Michael Hale and the Republican candidate Jamie Bewley Byrd. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome them to the stage? Good evening and welcome, and on behalf of the citizens of this great community, thank you so much for your willingness to appear before your citizens, those who will ultimately decide who will be the next judge executive of this great county. Each candidate is going to be given 90 seconds for an opening statement, and we will begin with you, Mrs. Byrd.
My name is Jamie Bewley Byrd. I'm a native Barren Countian. I was born here in 1981. I went to college at University of Kentucky, pursuing a civil engineering degree, went to work for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, and I pursued my engineering degree and then pursued more private opportunities and grew businesses, and which brought us back to here in Glasgow, Kentucky. And we're so excited to be back here in Barren County, and we want to grow this community, and I've really enjoyed meeting everyone and learning more and more about this county and opportunities that we are missing, and I want to pursue those opportunities, and I want to be able to be your next Barren County Judge Executive and be a humble servant to you all and serve this community well.
Thank you very much. Our next gentleman that will be heard from is the Republican candidate, Jamie Byrd. Jamie, would you please give us your 90-second opening statement?
I just did.
Mr. Hale, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Hale. I've already offended you. It didn't take long, did it?
That's fine.
It's all good. I'm Michael Hale. I am your current Barren County Judge Executive. I am born and raised here. I've never considered living anywhere else. I've raised my family here. I have worked here in the emergency services. I have retired from the emergency services. I am still involved with emergency services well, going on 30 years. We do have a farming operation. It's a family operation, and I am very proud to be your Barren County Judge Executive. I'm just proud to be a Barren County, and thank you.
Thank you very much. And a reminder, we'll go back and forth. We'll begin with you with the first question, and then after your answer, we will go ahead and give the gentleman an opportunity, and then we'll swap back and forth. Tonight's first question, again, from your community, is as follows. The community has suffered as a result of division among our leaders. Explain how you would unify individuals within the community, and what would be your vision for unity and a working relationship with other local and state elected officials? Ma'am.
You know, to be a good leader, you have to create a great team, and you have to understand where you need to rise and help those individuals grow. And I plan to do that if I am elected as your next Barren County Judge Executive, and work with our magistrates and work as a team. In addition to that, I want to work with our mayors. We have Cave City, Park City, and Glasgow, and understand that those mayors have someone to work with and be in full communication with, and if they want to go to Frankfort and pursue an opportunity, we go together as a unified effort. In addition to that, I want to support our school systems here. Also, if they want to go to Frankfort or pursue any opportunity, we work together. In addition to going to Frankfort, while we're at Frankfort, we have to work with our state representative and our state senator. Both have endorsed me because they want people from our area that want to help Barren County. We have to go to Frankfort to pursue opportunities. There are 120 counties in the state of Kentucky. When I worked in Frankfort, that is exactly how it works. People continually are coming. You might get more opportunities than you've ever pursued, or you might just have them remember you. When they go to the Economic Development Cabinet, you have to go with them and with your state rep and with your senator. Represent each other as a community in a unified effort. In addition to that, you have your U.S. Congressman, Mr. Guthrie. He's been excellent, and his representatives, and any of our senators, their representatives, they've been great. They want to help Barren County. We have to welcome them and create this network. In addition to all of the political influence, we have a huge network of people here in Barren County that have done so well in either business or politics or anything, and we've got to bring them to the table so that we can gain their knowledge and grow together. These people want to see Barren County grow. They want to invest private funds even to see it grow. They want to grow. We've got to bring those people to the table. We've got to work together. We have to be a unified organization between all of our cities and counties to grow this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would you like the question to be re-asked, sir?
Yes, please.
Okay. The community has suffered as a result of division among our leaders. Explain how you would unify individuals within the community, and what would be your vision for unity and a working relationship with other local and state elected officials, sir?
Well, Greg, this question comes up a lot during election season and debates. That's not the question that I'm hearing in the public. What people are asking me is this: Judge, where can I get a better paying job at? Judge, where can I and what can I do to help grow my business? With industry, they're asking, what can we do to put ourselves in position to expand? With the older population, here's the most important question that they're asking. What can we be doing for our community now that will afford my kids to stay here and raise our grandkids and live and work right here? Listen, I have worked with all county governments within Barren County. Glasgow City Council, Cave City City Council, Park City Commission. I've worked with all the mayors. I have a great working relationship with Governor Beshear's office. We speak weekly. I have a great working relationship with Jim Gray of the Transportation Cabinet. We speak weekly. And keep in mind, those guys have sent almost $2 million in discretionary funds to Barren County for specific projects, such as roads, bridges, and water projects. So I just don't believe that people are saying division until at certain times of the year.
Thank you very much. You will be asked the question number 2, and you'll be given the opportunity for the first response. Sir, what do you perceive as the greatest challenge our county's youth faces over the next 4 years, and what is your priority in helping them face them?
So the youth is something that I've been focused on way before I became judge executive in the emergency services. But here's what it looks like. Kids in school, to graduation, to higher education, to workforce, and just be a better citizen, a productive citizen. What we have to do, and we've done this in county government, we have to continue our internships. We have to continue showing them real world situations. And we have a lot of interns within county government. We have to continue those conversations with small businesses to make sure those internships are there also. We have to continue those discussions with large businesses in the industry to make sure that those are there. We also need to make sure, and as judge executive, I've always done this for 8 years, make sure the federal workforce dollars are where they need to be in Barren County, and the ones that go towards the youth, every penny of that is spent. The youth have the opportunity that a lot of folks didn't have years ago. Their school systems in Barren County schools, Glasgow schools, even Caverna, they can adjust to teach certain skills, and they can adjust very quickly. The schools do a great job of preparing our students for the workforce. So these students have a leg up. They do. The worst disservice we can ever do to our youth is having a conversation and them not being at the table.
Thank you. Would you like me to read the question again for you?
Please.
Okay. What do you perceive as the greatest challenge our county's youth face over the next 4 years? And what is your priority in helping them face them?
I think it's improving the quality of life. I continue to support all of our school systems here in Barren County. They are phenomenal. People live here just because how phenomenal our school systems are. I want to be supportive of our school systems to continue to provide them resources that they need and the support that they need in order to grow their programs that they do trainings for, or in helping out with their teachers and making sure they're fully staffed. In addition to that, I want to support them to make sure we can continue to provide a safe environment for our students. I want to support our local law enforcement to make sure that we're adequately staffed to help our schools keep a safe environment for them. In addition to that, I want to support our law enforcement outside of the schools to make sure that we keep crime off the streets and work on our drug issue here in Barren County. I want to make sure that we have the right amount of staff and the right staff in those positions. In addition, I would like to support any programs that we have regarding youth, to keep them in an active environment that's safe for them, and make sure we grow those and continue to support the youth in our area. And I want to instill in our youth the hope. When I grew up here, I knew I wanted to raise my kids here. We've got to instill that hope that kids want to come back to Barren County. And by doing that, we have to be ready for them to come back. If they pursue higher education or a 2-year or 4-year degree, we've got to have positions here for them to come back to. It's not happened. We've had industries try to come here, and they're not here now. We've got to be more consistent about being willing to work with these industries to bring them here, to create these opportunities for the youth, so that when they become adults, they want to live here, and they can live here and prosper here, and we've not provided that opportunity for them.
Thank you. Question number 3 now will be back to you. How do you feel about the county's current expenditures?
I've actually been doing some research in regarding to our budget and the amount of money that the county has. And some want to say it's due to revenue or growth, but some don't realize that there was actually a taxing district created. That tax went on all of the citizens in Barren County and created an influx of $500,000 a year for many years. We do have a lot of money in the bank at this point. And my question is that sometimes having money in the bank is not something good if your employees are leaving for higher paying jobs. And we're losing good staff in either our road department and our law enforcement. We've got to look at our strengths and our weaknesses. For some reason, we can't maintain what we have because we don't have funds, but we do have funds. So that's where I have a question in regards to that. In addition to the funds, we've had a huge opportunity in addition to the budget with ARPA and with CARES Act. We did not sit down, create a plan and a vision of how these funds could be put into this community all over Barren County to make a better return on our investment for long term, so we could see where these funds went to. Instead, due to missed emails, miscommunication, and poor handling, we did not handle it the right way. We could have made a very positive experience with these funds. And not saying that the ideas that they had to use the funds were wrong. It's just that the execution and handling of them was more of a reaction. It wasn't preparing for the opportunity. If I'm elected to be Barren County Judge Executive, I hope to be more proactive with opportunities like that so that we can prepare for infrastructure and do things to invest in the community so that if we have an opportunity to pursue an industry, we are ready.
Thank you. The question again for you, sir, would be, how do you feel about the county's current expenditures?
Well, you've asked me about the county's current expenditures. Does it make me happy every time an invoice hits the mailbox? No, it does not. I'm not a big spender. What I am proud to say today is, and where we started, we now have $1 million of surplus, where we didn't have hardly any when I first took over. Now, we got there because of teamwork, and the teamwork of the elected officials, the department heads that communicate and talk about, hey, are we effectively spending tax dollars, and how are we spending those tax dollars? Is there value in how we're spending those tax dollars? So they use those two words of efficiency and value, and that hasn't been easy. If you're on the outside looking in, you could probably say, you should cut this, cut that. Listen, we made our cuts. We made a lot of cuts. But today, I'm very proud to say that we've come a long ways, but it's been a team effort between the elected officials and the department heads. And when you have communications between those folks, that they're minding their budgets, good things will happen for Barren County.
Thank you. The next question will begin with you, sir. What would your proposal be for maximizing the efficiency of revenue at hand without increasing the taxpayer burden?
Well, we've done that. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you have to have more money to operate, but we've done this. With what we bring in tax-wise, just our small property tax, we've been able to do that. Again, we only had $7,000 in reserve. We now have over $1 million in reserve. We've also took that, we've paid down several $1 million of debt as well. We've also been able to give raises to our county employees that no one makes below $15 an hour. We've been able to do that on that. Oh, and by the way, we haven't cut any services at all. We've been able to do that. If someone in Cave City needs an ambulance, they call 911, that ambulance shows up. If someone needs a sheriff's deputy in Temple Hill or Relton, they call 911, they show up. We've done all that, and we have not cut any services. And again, it's been a collective effort between the Judge Executive's office, the elected officials, and the department heads. And I'm very proud of that. And also, we've done that, and just this year, the Barren County Fiscal Court has done one of the largest property tax cuts, just for our tax, that Barren County has seen in a long time. And we've been able to do that on the money that we bring in.
Thank you. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. What would your proposal be for maximizing the efficiency of revenue at hand without increasing the taxpayer burden?
Well, there are 3 words to remember: grants, gain, and growth. Grants. Emergency management is an area I took some interest in when I started, preparing to run for county judge executive. I actually started networking with other counties around us, had some great breakfasts, and went to a couple meetings, met some people from FEMA and Brad District here, and I really figured out that we've missed huge opportunities in this area. Example, the tornado hit Barren County in January of this year, and there were, in January and February, in the Brad District of 10 counties, there were 75 grants applied for. Barren County did not apply for 1 grant. That does not mean that we did not qualify for those. That just means we did not seek those out and apply for those, and even ask the questions. We have low water fords in this community that could be paid for with mitigation funds to replace them with bridges and not asphalt that's going to wash away. We've got to be better and be more efficient about going after grants. And that is one area for sure that we have missed out on. And I will pursue that area for sure. Gain. We have to gain back the relationships between our city and county governments. There is so much redundancy going on between the 2 governments that by just doing that, we can reduce costs in spending and have more accessible everything for our citizens to be able to work together and grow together. And growth. Growth is done by bringing in opportunities. We need better high-paying jobs here. We need more opportunity here for our citizens. Why are opportunities going to the north and the south of us? Why are opportunities not coming to Barren County? And we've had the time. Now we've got to get serious about this because it's getting bad in our community. And we've got to be able to raise. We have the highest unemployment out of all the 10 county districts. And we've got to be better.
Thank you. Just a quick reminder also, when the hand goes up, you still have 30 seconds after that.
Sorry.
Okay, my apologies. This is the last question, and it will come to you.
Okay.
What is your vision for the future of Barren County, and how do you plan to support bringing this vision to fruition?
Like I said, as a civil engineer and government experience and working in Frankfurt and seeing how, your county judges and mayors, they come to Frankfurt and seeing what they, the opportunities that, that they are there. and then going to work in the private sector. I've grown businesses I've started businesses that I had no experience in, and I've grown them, and I've taken businesses that I've purchased and made them bigger. My husband, Daniel Bird, and he's done the same thing. And he's grown businesses. We do it together as a team. We see strengths, weaknesses. We take calculated risk. And we came, you know, we did not come from business families. We created, and I want to do the same thing to Barren County. I want to grow Barren County. I want to invest my time in Barren County. You know, I have no personal gain in this. I want to see it grow for my kids to be able to grow up here and have opportunity here. And we're not doing it. And now is the time. We have to change. It is time for the change. And we've got to expand, and we've got to go to Frankfurt. There are things that we are missing out on that we are not pursuing. And I want you all to understand that this is something that I don't want just for my kids, or I want it for your kids and your grandkids. I want Barren County to be the bigger and better Barren County that it can be. We have a huge tourism opportunity here. We have a national park. We have a lake. We want people to not just live here. We want them to work here. We want them to play here. That is what we've got to do. We've got to provide better for our citizens, and that's what I will do as Barren County Judge Executive.
Thank you. And sir, I'll ask you as well, what is your vision for the future of Barren County, and how do you plan to support bringing this vision to fruition?
So the vision is always to move your county forward and grow it, and it will continue to be that. Create the opportunities for all ages. Here's my example. There's a young man by the name of Cord Glass, a content creator. Now, I didn't know anything about content creator, but I can tell you this. What I saw was, and he is considered the younger generation here. What I saw was there was people coming to our community from all over to shoot YouTube videos. What were they doing? They were marketing our community all over the world. The only thing I knew to do there was to acknowledge that and step aside and let it happen for our community. 2 weeks ago, we actually cut a ribbon on something that he invested here as a young person in Frisbee golf out at Gorham Park. And now his plan is to put that in every park in Barren County. That's just one example. That's why we need to be listening to our youth, always listening to our youth, because they may have that idea that we can do for them to stay in our community. And to me, that makes it better Barren County.
Thank you. On behalf of the committee and the citizens of what is no doubt one of the greatest counties in the Commonwealth, I wish to thank you again for your willingness to not only be here tonight, but also to serve this great community. And ladies and gentlemen in the audience, if you would, please put your hands together and show your appreciation for these two candidates. When we return from this break, we'll continue our coverage of the 2022 general election of Barren County as we ask a series of questions of our Barren County attorney next. Please stay tuned. We can't wait to see you in just a couple minutes.
What's better than a hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection? A hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection along with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. What a combo! Right now at Colton Steakhouse and Grill, get a hand-cut 6-ounce sirloin cooked to order with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. Served with 2 side items, delicious rolls and honey, plus endless peanuts. Get your sirloin and seafood fix at the same time. Only at Colton Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. We know what's at stake. Sirloin and shrimp too.
looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
At the Glasgow EPB, we make it easy to be our customer. By offering both energy and broadband services, those who live in Glasgow benefit from knowing that their essential utilities are always working to benefit the community they serve. Those who need Glasgow EPB services can apply in person or online and can pay their monthly bill the exact same way. When you have trouble with your service, help is only a phone call or click away. That is how we strive to make our services convenient for you. Learn more at glasgowepb.com.
Welcome back from the break. Thank you so much for joining us again as we continue this wonderful forum where we're giving an opportunity for all the candidates in Barren County, running for Barren County offices, an opportunity to hear from the citizens. The questions that are being asked this evening have been compiled from the citizens of this great community. The committee has compiled those and put them together for the candidates. And we're going to step right in now to the two candidates that are running for county attorney. The incumbent Democrat Catherine Thomas and the challenger Republican Mike Richardson. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome these two candidates to the stage. Welcome this evening. Thank you so much for being here. I will ask at this moment, do either of you require that the rules be read once again to you?
No, sir.
You good on the rules? Okay. This evening we're going to go ahead and we will start with your opening statement, Ms. Thomas. 90 seconds for an opening statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I first want to thank WCLU and all of our sponsors for this event. We appreciate, as candidates, the opportunity to express our ideas and tell you a little bit about who we are. And this forum is a great opportunity for us to do that. So with that, I will say I'm Catherine Thomas. I am your Barren County attorney. It has been such a privilege and an honor to serve you in this capacity. I want to tell you just a little bit about myself. I grew up in a neighboring county, Warren County, just over the Barren-Warren County line, near the Hayes community on a dairy farm. I am a homegrown country girl, and I suspect that I was raised in much the same way as many of you here and many of those that are watching at home. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I rely on his promises, and I depend on him. In all situations, faith is very important to me. I'm a family-oriented person. I am a mother to an amazing daughter, and that is the greatest joy of my life. I will tell you more about my professional experience as the night goes on, but that's just a little bit about who I am and what's important to me.
Thank you so much. You got in just in time. It's perfect. Sir, your opening statement, 90 seconds.
My name is Mike Richardson. I currently serve as an assistant Commonwealth's attorney, so I prosecute felony crimes in Barren and Metcalfe County. Prior to that, I was assistant Barren County attorney for a few years, and even prior to that, I was a public defender. Through the last almost 10 years of my career, I've served in just about every level of the criminal justice system. I'm not originally from Glasgow. I actually grew up right outside the city of New Orleans, growing up eating seafood and cheering for the New Orleans Saints. The kids are kind of spoiled nowadays with the Saints being so good, not when I was younger. But to give you now I know you're wondering how did I end up here, and it's a long story, so I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, but basically joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, served overseas, came back home, Hurricane Katrina hit, ended up in Tennessee. I met my wonderful wife Colleen, who's from here, and ended up going to law school in New Orleans, and I went to law school at night for 4 years while I also worked at a civil litigation firm at the same time while raising a family. And I made a decision to leave a potentially high-paying job to come here because I wanted to have a great, safe community for my family to grow up in. And I love Barren County. I'm all in. And I tell you what, as a prosecutor for many years, I've served this community by helping victims of crime, and I hear the cries from our community about the revolving door and about the drug problems. And sometimes you need an outsider to come in and shake things up, and I believe I can bring that fighting spirit back to the county attorney's office to take it to these criminals and to also offer opportunities for those who suffer from the throes of addiction.
Thank you, sir. A reminder, you will be given 2.5 minutes for each question. Again, when my hand goes up, you still do have 30 seconds. I'm not asking you to stop at that moment. You'll hear the clock go off if you pass the limit, okay? And we will begin with you, and then you will answer first question, and as usual, then we will flip back and forth for the 5 questions that the citizens of this great community have put forward because they want to hear from you. So, Mayor, let me ask you, do you believe aspects of current drug-related prosecution could change, and if so, how could it change?
Well, we know that laws are created by the legislature, and laws as they are continually morphed, they continually change. We recently had some changes in our laws with regard to controlled substance DUI prosecution. In the past, when law enforcement suspected someone to have been driving under the influence and it was a controlled substance or an intoxicating substance that impaired their ability to drive other than alcohol, law enforcement officers would often request that that person provide a blood test. A lot of times people decline that, and in the past, in prosecuting those cases, we could present that evidence in court, the fact that it was requested and then refused. One of the most significant changes in the last 4 years for us as a prosecutor, any prosecutor in the state of Kentucky, is that now we have new case law that says we can't mention that. We can't mention that there was a request for a blood test or that the defendant refused it. And as you can imagine, that has been crippling across the state for DUI prosecution. The legislature, at the request and the lobbying efforts of the Kentucky County Attorneys Association, has made changes in the law recently, in recent months, that says that now in situations we can get a search warrant to get blood to be tested from those individuals. So used to, you could do a search warrant for blood, but only in certain very limited circumstances. And now anytime that an officer has probable cause to believe someone is DUI, they can do that. Well, this has been very helpful to us. And as county attorney, I've met with all of our local law enforcement agencies. We've discussed the logistics of those things, and I have equipped them with tools necessary in order to do that. Specifically, a very tailored, specific search warrant, affidavit, and search warrant that they can use. Those are the things that we have to do in order to be successful in prosecuting crimes and dealing with laws that are continually changing. It is very much the responsibility of the county attorney to make sure that all of those local law enforcement agencies are informed of that and to give them the tools that they need to make sure they're able to keep us safe.
Thank you so much. Mr. Richardson, would you like me to read the question to you again?
No. I'm happy Ms. Thomas adopted the very policy I advocated for months ago. When this first came to light, a lot of the prosecutors got together and said that this was going to be a problem. And when I first started this campaign, I said I wanted to make Barren County a no-refusal DUI jurisdiction. I wanted to make the search warrant process faster and easier for these officers to get these folks off the street and to get the officers back out on the road. And I also want to note that when I was assistant county attorney, I had no power. I wasn't the county attorney at the time. But I went and sought different ways to keep people safe. I was the first prosecutor to prosecute prescription drug DUIs, where individuals were getting high off hydrocodone. They come into court with the prescription and it would get dismissed. And that was not the right way to do things. I saw that problem. I went and got trained, and I was the first prosecutor in Barren County to utilize a drug recognition expert, which is a deputy that receives hours of training in the field and in the classroom to detect the new emerging threat of drug DUIs. I was the first to do that. One of the things I'm going to change also that needs to be addressed is the issue of the revolving door of those suffering from the throes of addiction who are not following their bond conditions. You have individuals that are continually violating the law, and bonds are not being sought to be revoked. They're not being sought to revoke their probation. It's not so much about putting people in jail, but to send out a notice to criminals everywhere, whether it's addiction or they're career criminals or violent offenders, that we are not going to tolerate criminal activity in Barren County. Once you establish some sort of accountability, everything else falls in line, but that needs to be addressed first. And the one thing I've also done as Assistant Commonwealth Attorney in pushing in my own practice is getting at those who suffer from addiction into faith-based treatment programs, because the studies demonstrate that that is the best way, the best type of therapy that they need to get them off of drugs. And that is something I will institute as county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. The question will come back to you, sir. What approach would you take to get the attention of youth in the county regarding drug use? And how do you plan to combat the newest threats, such as fentanyl, heroin, and meth?
Well, in my own career as a felony prosecutor, I've made a big part of my practice to punish those who traffic in methamphetamine, fentanyl, and heroin. Thankfully, we haven't seen too much heroin and fentanyl so far. We've got folks on the docket. I've had people sent to prison for trafficking, and I make that a top priority. As far as trying to, and I think as county attorney it's a little harder because you don't have the help of big stiff sentences, but you still have misdemeanor trafficking that can occur both in juvenile and adults. And you need to be able to give mandatory jail time, and again, send a message that's not going to be tolerated. As far as helping out youth, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm totally opposed to the county attorney's plan that she had put in place at the beginning of the school year, the Thursday before school, where we're going to charge kids with nicotine-filled vape pens with drug paraphernalia, a charge that will never hold up in court. This hurts working families. I've talked to so many parents who've had to take time off their jobs and lose money in the process to take their kids out of school to go to the CDW's office, who is barely consulted with, and they're just having just hundreds of cases they suddenly have to deal with. This is not an efficient use of resources. This isn't going to do anything. I don't want kids vaping. I've talked to my own child about that. But this isn't going to solve the problem. Prevention and education is key. And I plan, if I'm elected county attorney, number one, that policy's going away, and I'm going to stand with the parents on this issue. And on top of that, I'm going to get with the police chief and the sheriff, and we'll meet with the schools. I was a juvenile court prosecutor for 3 years, and I worked well with the school system. We'll sit down with them and tell them what we're going to do, going after maybe convenience stores or places that are getting vapes into the hands of these kids, going after juvenile drug traffickers that are getting drugs into schools, and also adult drug traffickers that are getting it into the hands of kids. That will be a priority if I'm elected county attorney.
Thank you, sir. Would you like me to read the question again for you?
Please, sir.
Yes, ma'am. What approach would you take to get the attention of youth in the county regarding drug use? And how do you plan to combat the newest threats such as fentanyl, heroin, and meth?
The issue of drug addiction is widespread. It is certainly a looming and a large issue for the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky, and Barren County is certainly no different. I would say that you would be hard-pressed to find anyone in this room who hasn't had some personal connection to drug addiction in some way, either directly or indirectly, and unfortunately and all too often leads in the tragic loss of life way too early. While the issues of things such as cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, fentanyl are issues that are dealt with through the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, through the circuit court process, we know that those issues don't start there. The issues, those that suffer from drug addiction, don't start with heroin. They don't start with methamphetamine. They start with something on a smaller scale. And those things, such as marijuana or pills, we do deal with regularly. If we want to address this with our youth, there is one and only way that we can do that. We can reach out with our schools and be a community partner with our local school systems, which is exactly what I've done. The vape policy is something that has been talked about a lot. I realized that it was not popular with a lot of people, but here are the facts. This time last year, Barren County High School alone had right at 50 incidents of vaping at school. This time, this year, it's 25. That's a 50% reduction. And I'll tell you this, I will stand behind that every day. I would stand behind it if it was one child that it affected, because it is our job and the job of everybody in this legal community to protect our children, which is exactly what I'm doing. It's not my policy. The schools reached out to the judiciary, the local judges, and the judges reached out to me. It was a collaborative effort with the judiciary, with the schools, with me, with local law enforcement, and the court designated workers office. A collaborative effort, a collaborative decision. And as county attorney, I will continue to support our schools, to protect our kids, and to uphold the law.
Thank you. The next question will come right back to you, ma'am. What's your greatest contribution to Barren County citizens as county attorney?
The greatest contribution for me as serving as your Barren County attorney is simply that I know that this position is not about a title, it's about a service to be provided. I'm serving as your county attorney, and I realize that you, the people of Barren County, are my boss. I serve at the pleasure of you, and I am so grateful for that opportunity. I always have, I always will, I will continue to remember that I serve you every day. The other thing that I would say is my greatest contribution as Barren County attorney is the fact that I do know and understand that the office of county attorney is but one cog in the wheel of this community. And it is important that whoever is in this position works with people in the other positions. The county attorney wears many hats. We've talked a lot about prosecution and district court, but there are so many other things that are involved. There's prosecution in district court. There are other court cases like child support cases in family court, dependency, neglect, and abuse cases in family court. We work alongside the Cabinet for Families and Children. We work alongside law enforcement. We work alongside county government. The county attorney, I have provided counsel to county government throughout the last 4 years. I've done so in an impartial way. I've been supportive of supporting to all of my magistrates, to all of fiscal court, to my county judge, and also to all of county government. That includes within its purview all of the county departments, county department heads, and the people that work there. I've managed to have good working relationships even in this polarized political culture that we find ourselves in a very effective way, and I consider that a success. I will continue to be a county attorney that serves in an impartial way, in a bipartisan way, and one that is effective no matter who you are, always.
Thank you. We'll ask you that question with a future tone to it. What would your greatest contribution be to the citizens of Barren County if you were elected as county attorney?
If the citizens decided to elect me county attorney, I mean, the greatest contribution I could give is true leadership. You know, the office right now, you've got, you know, Ms. Thomas talked about the child support office. Right now, they got 3 people for a job that requires 5 or 6. They recently had a high turnover rate with prosecutors. They lost their victim's advocate. You know, you're in a spot right now where, you know, they're just holding their heads above water. And that shows right now in district court, where the revolving door is revolving faster than ever. You have, you know, plea bargainings happening, no trials happening. I mean, we were trying, you know, 1 to 2 cases a month. When I was assistant county attorney, that was the biggest asset I had to the county attorney back then, was that I did my job so good. I had 3 public defenders on me in the courtroom for handling a court docket. I handled all by myself with an assistant. You know, it's a part of that efficiency. We got to get this county attorney's office back to efficiency. Running that child support office where people aren't trying to get a hold of somebody over there. The girls over there do a good job, but it takes more than 3 people. I mean, people trying to call, trying to pay their child support, or trying to contact them about their child support, or just victims of crime, just trying to get notified of what's going on over there. You know, cases being resolved without being talked to. I mean, this stuff needs to get fixed. That's going to be the greatest asset that I can provide. And she's right, it's not about just criminal prosecution, but the county attorney needs to have an assistant in there all the time, and only the assistant doing that to keep track of what's going on, and to have the other prosecutor in family court so the county attorney can focus on the duties of the fiscal court and child support, or whatever else they choose to do. And that is what my contribution would be if I'm elected county attorney.
Thank you, sir. The next question will come right back to you, sir. Are you likely to interpret laws liberally or conservatively, and why?
That's an interesting question, because usually, judges get asked that because there's, like a quote-unquote conservative liberal way of looking at things, like if you look at the Supreme Court. But I guess the one way that it would apply to prosecutors nowadays is the question probably would be, would you be a Soros prosecutor? George Soros has had his thumb on the system for quite some time, whether it's Kim Foxx in St. Louis or George Gaskin in Los Angeles or Larry Krasner in Philadelphia. You got these progressive DAs that come in and don't prosecute crimes. They don't talk to victims. They treat victims like second-class citizens. They give sweetheart plea deals. I'm not going to be one of those type of prosecutors, I'll tell you that. And I've got a solid reputation amongst law enforcement and government that when I lay down the hammer, everybody hears it. At the same time, I also, over the years, as I've gained more experience, I know that sometimes you don't need a hammer. Sometimes people just want to listen to you. You just need someone to talk to them. I had a victim call me some time ago. She was a victim of a guy I put away in prison for a certain offense, and she had called me from another state. And she talked to me for like 20, 30 minutes. I couldn't do anything for her because what happened to her happened in another state. We talked, and I said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'm not able to help you here. But I tell you what, if this guy ever tries to contact you, I want you to call me. We'll sit there and stop it from happening. And she said, thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I think that's the thing that people want the most from a county attorney, is just to be listened to. One of my mentors taught me one of the most important things about being a county attorney is that you got to talk to people. They have to contact you. I still have law enforcement call me after hours sometimes asking for advice on certain issues. That's the trust that I've built with these folks. I support law enforcement 100%. And that support's not just in name only, but also backing them up, giving them advice, giving them the right advice, working with all these personnel, all these government officials. I've built that reputation. So if I'm elected county attorney, we're going to get this office running efficiently. We're going to fight crime. We want Barren County to become the model of criminal justice. We're going to get this child support thing fixed, and we're going to be one of the top county attorney offices in the Commonwealth.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Thomas, are you likely to interpret the laws liberally or conservatively, and why?
That question is an interesting one, because the way I see it, the law is simply what it is. I think the number one trait of a county attorney is to be fair, just, and impartial always. That means that whatever the law is, it's applied equally to all persons. That is something that I have done consistently over the last 4 years and will continue to do moving forward.
Thank you. And this will be the fifth and final question, and we'll come right back to you. What are your priorities over the next 4 years as county attorney?
My priorities over the next 4 years as county attorney will maintain exactly what they've been the last 4 years. First and foremost, and I've said before, it's to be fair and unbiased, impartial as a prosecutor. With that, it's to be an informed prosecutor. When I took over 4 years ago, when I took office, I implemented an office policy that said we're not going to have cookie-cutter responses to all of these offenses that are going on. There was actually a packet that gave exactly what you should offer for any one charge. I didn't like that approach. I felt like that should be more individualized to each case, because if one person comes in with a shoplifting charge and they have absolutely nothing on their record, and someone else comes in with a shoplifting charge that's been charged and convicted of that 5 times in the past, those offers of resolution should be different, and they are now. I send a written offer to every single case that comes before district court. I personally do it. I review the case, and I also look at that individual's criminal history prior to ever sending an offer on the case. It has provided such efficiency for us in district court. It was one of the things that when I sat down initially with Judge Pendleton and said, what can we do to make things better? That's one of the things we talked about. It's one of the things that I implemented, and immediately we saw the results of efficiency in district court. Another thing that I will continue doing in my role as county attorney is to be a voice for the voiceless. That includes those victims of crimes. It also includes those single parents like myself who are dependent on financial security through the additional help they get with child support each month. Our child support office has increased in every single category that it's rated on by Frankfurt. All 4 categories over the last 4 years. I'm proud of that. And yes, we've done it with a lighter staff. It's not that we can't have, we want there to be another caseworker, so if you want to apply, you let me know. But as with everybody that's in business right now, help's been hard to retain. The 3 that I have in there now have been there for a long time. They work very hard, and for that kind of improvement with that shortage of staff, it speaks volumes for the work we're doing.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Richardson, your final question this evening, sir.
The number one thing I've heard from people on the campaign trail is they can't get in contact with the county attorney. Nobody calls them back. There's little to no communication. And first of all, we didn't do cookie cutter deals when I was assistant county attorney. I was the only prosecutor that ever looked at everybody's records before each and every court day. And I caught you if you got another charge while you had a case pending. We looked at the case itself. We consulted with officers if we needed to. We'd had some questions. Sometimes we'd ask them. We didn't let discovery sit on our desk. We called them and said, hey, we might need some surveillance footage. We might need this. We made sure we got all of that to the defendant, because that's part of being fair, is getting all evidence to the defendant, but making sure we had all the evidence in the first place. And on top of that, we looked at the records, we talked to victims, and we got their input. Then we decided what the offer was going to be. And the offer kept going up if you kept committing more crime. I had a guy that, he was a simple AI, and he just kept going and going and going. Finally, one day I went to court, and I printed out his rap sheet, and I showed it in front of the judge, and I looked at this guy. I said, I'm going to recommend, it was the maximum penalty on it. And the guy had already pled guilty, because that's the problem I had when I first became assistant county attorney. People came in and they just went up to the judge and pled guilty because they knew, hey, I'm just going to get a slap on the wrist. I stopped that, and I started making them think. And we were able to reduce misdemeanor crimes after my first year I was assistant county attorney. And that's not all on me. I worked well with law enforcement, but it's all about communication. So we didn't do cookie cutter deals. We communicated with people, and we designed our deals. Yeah, we had some standards, like we weren't going to just give probated days for trafficking or something like that. We had mandatory jail time, but every jail sentence, every type of sentence was all designed after looking at all that criteria, and that's what needs to happen today.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Thank you both so very much. Again, on behalf of the citizens of this great county, thank you both for the service you've already provided, the service that you long to continue to provide to these citizens. And ladies and gentlemen, if you would you please show your respect for both candidates? Very nice. When we return from this break, we're going to hear from the candidates for Barren County Sheriff's Office. Please stay with us. We'll literally be back in just 2.5 minutes.
Monticello Bank began in 1895 in Monticello, Kentucky. They were one of the few banks who survived the Great Depression. Today, there are 20 branches all across the Commonwealth, from Louisville to Harlan. Monticello Bank offers full-service local banking for personal and business products. From home loans to commercial lending, Monticello Bank will guarantee the most competitive rates from local people you know and trust. Because their friendly personal staff is what separates Monticello Bank from all the rest. Stop by their location on 1434 Happy Valley Road in Glasgow every weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and let them make the financial side of your life a little bit easier. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
What's better than a hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection? A hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection along with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. What a combo! Right now at Colton Steakhouse and Grill, get a hand-cut 6-ounce sirloin cooked to order with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. Served with 2 side items, delicious rolls and honey, plus endless peanuts. Get your sirloin and seafood fix at the same time. Only at Colton Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. We know what's at stake. Sirloin and shrimp, too.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the 2022 Candidate Forum here provided for you this evening. Next up on the stage will be the 2 candidates that are running for Barren County Sheriffs, our incumbent Democrat Kent Keene and the Republican challenger Steve Garrison. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome both men to the stage. And again, gentlemen, thank you on behalf of the citizens of this great community. Do either of you need me to review or go over the rules that were presented at the beginning of the evening? Okay. Just a reminder, my hand goes up at 30 seconds. That does not mean your time is up. You will still have 30 seconds after I raise my hand. Each of you will be given a moment now, 90 seconds, to offer an opening statement. We'll begin with you, Mr. Garrison.
I'd like to thank WCLU for this opportunity tonight. I would also like to thank all the sponsors as well. I would also like to thank each and every one that's come this way tonight. I think this is a great opportunity for us to express some of our thoughts and views on some of the issues. I'm Steve Garrison. I live at Etoile, same farm that I've lived on for the last 27 years. We've raised cattle and horses, raised 2 wonderful kids there. They've both graduated from Barren County schools, and I'm very appreciative for what Barren County has done for my family. I've drove a school bus for Barren County for over 22 years, and I've been working court security for the last few years. The majority of my life has been in service for others, and tonight I'm asking for your opportunity to serve the county in a different capacity.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Keene, 90 seconds.
Thank you. Again, to echo what Steve said, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, all the sponsors that we had for this forum. It's very encouraging to stand here before the interested public and both on the televised portion of this too, because it's very important for our community. My introduction, I am Kent Keene, current Barren County Sheriff, have been Sheriff since August of 2013. I'm a graduate at Eastern Kentucky University, College of Law Enforcement. I retired from the Glasgow City Police Department with 20 years. I originally went to high school in Allen County. After graduating from college, applied all over the country, literally. The city of Glasgow picked me up, and through time and rank and marriage and kids, I made this community home after 32 years. It's a great community. We have a very good working relationship with local businesses, schools, programs, a variety of things that we've made a lot of progress on through the Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Garrison, your microphone was off for about the first 15 or so seconds of your opening comments. We would love to offer you the opportunity. It's back on now. We'd love to offer you the opportunity, if you would like to once again do your introduction. We think it's only appropriate that we do so.
I would first like to thank WCLU for this opportunity. I would also like to thank the sponsors for making this night possible for us. I'd like to thank each and every one that's came this way tonight. I'm Steve Garrison. I live in Etoile. I live on the same farm I've lived for the last 27 years, where we've raised 2 kids that I'm very proud of tonight that went to Barren County schools and graduated from Barren County schools. I drove a special needs school bus for Barren County for over 22 years. I worked for the Sheriff's Department doing court security. The majority of my life has been in service of others, and tonight I'm asking for your vote to be able to provide that service in a different capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just give me one moment, ladies and gentlemen. In the interest of clarity and fairness, I want to take a moment right now and ask the gentlemen that are behind the stage with sound to please come out and let's see if we can approach this microphone. It seems to be going in and out, and we're going to come up with a solution. So just give us 1 minute. Gentlemen, if you come out really quick and speak with us, we'd love to see you. Just give us 1 minute. No, it's not. I think what we can do is share. In the interest of making sure that both of you are heard clearly, until we are able to replace that microphone, which will happen quickly, after I ask the question, both of you will speak from the same podium for the time being, okay? So just remain where you're standing, but I absolutely believe that both of you deserve all of the time allotted to you to be heard. The citizens deserve that as well. And so, Mr. Garrison, this evening, if you would approach the other podium, you will be first with the question. And, sir, I'd like to ask you on behalf of the citizens, what approach would you take to get the attention of youth in the county regarding drug use? And how do you plan to combat the newest threats such as fentanyl, heroin, and meth?
We used to have a DARE program in Barren County where we had a DARE officer that attended the elementary schools, and I do believe that that was a very successful program. I do also believe that working with our youth at that early age is the best time to present them with the horrors of drug use. I know that funding for this would have to be looked at, but I do believe the DARE program was a very successful thing for our youth. And as far as if I were elected sheriff, I can assure you that anyone that comes into this county to manufacture or sell drugs, that we're going to do everything within our power to bring these people to justice.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff, I'll ask you the question again, sir.
Yes, sir.
What approach would you take to get the attention of youth in the county regarding drug use? And how do you plan to combat the newest threats such as fentanyl, heroin, and meth?
Well, as many of you know, Barren County Sheriff's Office has a very proactive SRO program, which is a school resource officer program. When I started, we had 1. We now currently have 7. And through the cooperation of Barren County Schools, we're adding more to the elementaries every day. Matter of fact, I just hired another one this week for the elementary schools. So our goal is, by state law, as money comes available, is to put an SRO in every building, which is a frontline response, or he also teaches programs, both high school level, middle school level, on drug awareness. Not as extensive as Mr. Garrison said the DARE program used to be, but with changing times, we also had to change too for school securities, both from threats and from threats of drug inundations. So that's our priority aspect. Of course, on the street, we combat a lot of drugs through patrol division, through investigation. As you know, the Drug Task Force is part of an attachment of the Sheriff's Office. So we're very aggressive on drugs in the county, and we make several arrests every year, go through the prosecution process to try to get those people adjudicated for violations of drugs.
Thank you. You can stay there, sir. The next question will come to you first. Is the Sheriff's Office adequately staffed? If not, how do you plan to recruit new deputies?
Well, currently we're down 2 or 3, but ironically, I've had a multitude of applicants just in the last week. And as many of you know, law enforcement has had a reduction in employees over the last couple of years for a variety of reasons. Now, obviously, pay might be one of them. Working situations might be another. For instance, you've seen a lot of law enforcement around the country come under great scrutinies. However, in this community, we have a very supportive community, a very good relationship with schools, and I have a very good ability and pool to recruit new officers. Many times those officers have certified training from other agencies, and sometimes we send them to academy to create an officer from ground level up. But we're very aggressive on a number of things in the community. So even though we're down along with many other law enforcement agencies in the state and the country, we're making very progressive efforts to replace those employees that we've lost.
Thank you. If you'd like to take his podium, sir. When you get there, I'll be glad to repeat the question.
Please.
Mr. Garrison, if you're elected sheriff, do you believe the sheriff's office is adequately staffed? And if not, how do you plan to recruit new deputies?
I do not feel that we are adequately staffed. I don't feel like we have enough deputies on the road at the time answering calls. With the small number that we have takes deputies away from being able to patrol the entire county. I do believe that we have a good name in Barren County, and I'm very well aware of how looking for new recruits is sometimes challenging. I would also like to see us with a more diverse officers, multilingual, and things such as that. With that, I would be very interested in working with our local PD and also our surrounding counties for officers that might be willing to come and work for us.
Thank you. On behalf of, I'm going to ask you the next question, but just an update from our tech guys. We do need you, if you could speak up just a little bit, okay? So, Mr. Garrison, let me ask you. How would you constitute the utilization of the elected constables?
The constables are one of the oldest law enforcement entities that we have. I do believe that the House addressed this issue back in July with House Bill 239, I believe, at which time they are looking at limiting the constable's power unless that they attend schooling to be certified as normal patrol officers. But I will be paying very close attention to the appeal that I have heard has been filed, and depending upon the House how they rule on that, I will be more than happy to work with our elected constables in any capacity that we are allowed to use.
Thank you. Mr. King. Same question for you, sir. How would you constitute the utilization of the elected constables?
Well, the Sheriff's Office tries to work with all law enforcement agencies, both locally and adjoining counties and statewide. As Mr. Garrison pointed out, KRS Chapter 7325, which was passed or will take effect as of January, takes the peace officer powers away from newly elected constables. So that's going to make it a little bit challenging on some of the things that constables can do in the Commonwealth. Now, again, as he said, constables are a constitutionally elected office, not under the power of the Sheriff's Office. We don't supervise them, we don't pay them. They're a separate entity, just like the sheriff or clerk or county judge is elected. And as previously said, the legislature had pointed out that they're going to allow those folks to apply to the Department of Criminal Justice Training for the 20-week basic academy as slots are available. So it's it's a partnership that we're just going to have to see how it pans out after January.
Thank you, sir. If you'd stay there. The next question is for you. How would you improve the county tax collection modalities?
Well, that's a good question. Being in office 8 years and working with my bookkeeper very diligently, we have maintained an older tax platform, computer platform for tax collection. And the only thing that it does not allow is online payments. Now, let me remind you, in the last 8, 10, 12 years, the county has come up with a zero balance. In other words, for $30 million that the sheriff's office collects, we came out even. We didn't have any discrepancies there. So I've given a lot of credit to the older computer platform, the older system that we have, because many of the sheriff's offices have gone into a newer system which allowed the online payment, which I'm all in favor of, but those sheriff's offices came under scrutiny because they were out of balance, and it was due to some of that computer program. We currently take tax payments by mail. There's a drop box that will be set up during the month of November for tax payments. Obviously escrows, bank withdrawals, things of that nature, obviously in person. So we've got a variety of methods to pay taxes, but in the situation of keeping the importance of our zero balance, maintaining that $30 million that we collect and not being in the red, so to speak, we have kept an older tax program, which I'm very confident in, and so is our bookkeeper. So we have all methods of tax collection except online.
Thank you. And I'll restate the question again for you as well, Mr. Garrison. How would you improve the tax collection modalities, the county tax collection modalities if elected?
Well, as Sheriff King stated, of all the ways that we now have to pay our taxes, I have, as I've been out in the county and talking to the residents, a lot of the residents have spoken on how they love paying their bills online, and they love that, being able to get on that computer and take care of everything. If elected sheriff, I would like to look into it more closely. I would like to examine the cost. And I feel like that is a possibility that we could possibly utilize in the 23-24 tax season.
Thank you. And if you remain there, the next question is for you. What's unique about your character as it pertains to the job of sheriff?
I'm a people person. I like meeting people. I communicate well with people. But the most important thing that I've learned in the course of my life and my job experiences is the importance of being able to listen to people. I feel like the job of sheriff requires listening as much as it does speaking. And I feel like being able to better unite this community and this county, knowing that there are people that you can come in contact with, that you can talk to, that you can share your issues or your concerns with, that is willing to hear you and willing to help you in those moments of need. And I think that would be what I would say my personality is about.
Thank you. Mr. King. I'll ask you the question once as well. What's unique about your character as it pertains to the job of sheriff?
Well, sir, I believe I'm a good listener. I get out in the community as much as possible, but of course, as the sheriff, there's a lot of things that are required: administrative, policy, decision-making, funding, a variety of issues that the sheriff has to take care of. I believe I take the time to listen to the people who come in to voice concerns and try to diligently work on those concerns, whether it be extra patrols, whether it be sections of the county that particular crimes are happening where we saturate patrols. I just believe through time and experience and some of the things that I've been exposed to in the law enforcement world, that I can approach this job very openly, very proactively, through things that we've made improvements on, through things that we've learned.
Thank you very much. And both of you, what an honor and privilege it is to have you here before the citizens of this great community. And again, we want to, as the citizens of this community, we want to thank you both for your willingness to serve this great county, Barren County. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together and show them your appreciation? Thank you both very much for your willingness. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll return here shortly back to the 2022 Barren County Candidate Forum. Thank you so much for paying attention, being online with us, on TV with us. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
At the Glasgow EPB, we make it easy to be our customer. By offering both energy and broadband services, those who live in Glasgow benefit from knowing that their essential utilities are always working to benefit the community they serve. Those who need Glasgow EPB services can apply in person or online and can pay their monthly bill the exact same way. When you have trouble with your service, help is only a phone call or click away. That is how we strive to make our services convenient for you. Learn more at glasgowepb.com.
Monticello Bank began in 1895 in Monticello, Kentucky. They were one of the few banks who survived the Great Depression. Today, there are 20 branches all across the Commonwealth, from Louisville to Harlan. Monticello Bank offers full-service local banking for personal and business products. From home loans to commercial lending, Monticello Bank will guarantee the most competitive rates from local people you know and trust. Because their friendly personal staff is what separates Monticello Bank from all the rest. Stop by their location on 1434 Happy Valley Road in Glasgow every weekday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and let them make the financial side of your life a little bit easier. Monticello Bank, where people matter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
What's better than a hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection? A hand-cut sirloin cooked to perfection along with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. What a combo! Right now at Colton Steakhouse and Grill, get a hand-cut 6-ounce sirloin cooked to order with the choice of fried or grilled shrimp. Served with 2 side items, delicious rolls and honey, plus endless peanuts. Get your sirloin and seafood fix at the same time. Only at Colton Steakhouse and Grill in Glasgow, Campbellsville, Radcliffe, and Bardstown. We know what's at stake. Sirloin and shrimp too.
Are you looking for a new career where you'll be a part of a family-owned business for over 50 years? Walbert Trucking is a trucking company based right here in Glasgow. With Walbert Trucking, you'll get full benefits, great pay, and 401k. And you'll be home daily. Unlimited possibilities await you. Apply today and become a member of the Walbert Trucking team. 106 Sean Lane in Glasgow, 651-6784.
At the Glasgow EPB, we make it easy to be our customer. By offering both energy and broadband services, those who live in Glasgow benefit from knowing that their essential utilities are always working to benefit the community they serve. Those who need Glasgow EPB services can apply in person or online and can pay their monthly bill the exact same way. When you have trouble with your service, help is only a phone call or click away. That is how we strive to make our services convenient for you. Learn more at glasgowepb.com.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're about to introduce to you our final two candidates this evening for Barren County Jailer. And again, thank you very much. I also want to remind you that this Thursday night, we'll also have a candidate forum for the two candidates for mayor of the city of Glasgow, so we'd love to see you come on out here. The theater has been well attended tonight. It's been a great experience in the room, and we're thankful that you're watching on YouTube or on television as well. And so this evening, as we finish this great opportunity to hear from all the candidates as they respond to the questions that have been provided by the citizens of this great community, we'd like to introduce to you tonight the two candidates for Jailer of Barren County. The first, Democratic Cody Huff and Republican Aaron Shirley. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome both candidates to the stage. On behalf of all of the citizens of this great community, thank you for your willingness to serve, and I must say, you are the two men I hope to never see again in my life. And so this evening, both of you are going to be given an opportunity to speak with an opening comment or statement for 90 seconds, and we'll begin that with you, Mr. Shirley. 90 seconds to introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Aaron Shirley. I'm a 1999 graduate of McKiff County School. Met my wife. We were married in 2000, moved to Barren County in 2001. Lord blessed us with two beautiful children, and we preside still now at Slick Rock. I am the co-owner of Our Rental Sealing and Striping, and me and my wife owns a child advocating service here in Glasgow, and that's about it about me.
Thank you very much, sir. And now you, sir. 90 seconds.
My name's Cody Huff. I'm seeking the office of Barren County Jailer. I would like to remind everyone I am the most experienced when it comes to the work at the detention center. I was employed for 4.5 years at the detention center and worked under two jailers. I'm married, I have 3 children, and I was born and raised here in Barren County, Kentucky. I think that's about it.
Thank you both very much. A reminder that each of you will be given 2.5 minutes to respond to the questions that you'll be asked. At the 30-second mark, I will raise my hand. Please remember, that does not mean your time is up. You do have 30 seconds after that. And unless either one of you needs to have the rules reread to you, I can go ahead and begin with the questions. Sir, we're going to begin with you this evening. When does the process of re-entry to the community begin, and how does it benefit the community?
I believe it begins the moment that they come in. There are so many programs out there for, if they be there for DUI, if they be there for anger management, if they be there for whatever the case, there's programs out there for them, and it begins the moment that they come in. There is so many programs as far as I've already met with some people that are willing to come in and help with these classes, to help them find housing, to help them find jobs, to help them find employment. There's churches out there that people's already come and want to come in and help with this. I believe it begins just as soon as they get there.
Thank you. And I'll repeat the question for you, sir. When does the process of re-entry to the community begin, and how does it benefit the community?
People do like to think that the process of re-entry begins the moment that you're booked in. That's not true. You can have as many programs as you would like. I mean, you can come up with anything and everything you want. The individual has to be ready to take that step for that program to be effective. I can offer everything, but if you're not ready, it's not going to stick. Therefore, it's not going to benefit the community. Everything has to be based on when that individual is ready. And if they're not, you're wasting your time.
Okay, thank you. We'll come right back to you, sir, with the second question. With the growing threat of cultural disparities as our local population diversifies, what are your plans to address this in the jail?
From my experience as a deputy jailer, the jail is going to continue to diversify the more the community grows. You have to take it day by day. My plans, if I'm elected jailer, I would like to have a translator on call to break that language barrier between the deputies and the inmates. That would just make everything a lot easier for everyone as you do your job.
Thank you. And sir, I'll repeat the question for you. With the growing my apologies, the growing threat of cultural disparities as our local population diversifies, what are your plans to address this in the jail?
Well, not to mimic what he said, but our job is to basically do what's handed down from the DOC. They regulate everything we do. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. I think everybody should be treated fairly and evenly all the way across. I think the programs, like I said before, should be offered to everybody, regardless of who you are, where you come from. They do have to want to help, but the programs have to be there in order for them to use them.
Thank you. We'll come right back to you, sir. How do you feel about the allocation of funds for prison reform, and how could that relate to the Barren County Detention Center?
Well, first of all, we're a county jail. We have state inmates. Some of the funds come from them. And like I guess it sounds like a broken record, but the money that comes in are with these programs. We're going to be on a very tight budget for the first 6 months before we start a new budget in July. It goes back to all these programs that are out there. There's bridge programs, there's programs for alcohol use, there's programs for domestic violence. We'll have to utilize them with the funds that we have available.
Thank you. So I'll ask you the question as well, sir. How do you feel about allocation of funds for prison reform, and how could that relate to the Barren County Detention Center?
Prisons and county jails are completely different entities. The Barren County Jail, how to put this, I'm so sorry.
Take your time, you've got plenty.
We could say that we're going to get all of these programs through the funding, but ultimately at the end of the day, the Department of Correction regulates what programs we can get and what they're going to pay for. Obviously, as jailer, you're going to utilize those funds to the extent that you can, but also at the end of the day, you have to remember that you have to go by the regulations provided by the Department of Corrections.
Thank you. We're going to come right back to you. Describe a professional experience that is conducive to your role as jailer.
I would have to say my 4.5 years as a deputy jailer, working firsthand with the inmates, walking the halls, doing the cell checks, day-to-day activities within the jail. I've learned the back of the house, and now I think it's time that I move to the front.
With me, I think it's more my business background. You know, whenever you have businesses and you go out here and you do these large jobs, you have to budget your money to be able to pay your hands, to be able to buy materials, to be able to complete the job at the end of the day. Because with every job, you don't get paid until you get done. You have to put everything up front, so you have to budget for that to be able to do that to get to the very end of the job. I feel it's the same way with this. We get set a budget, and we have to make that budget last us to the next year without going over it. As far as experience, I work as a special deputy for the Barren County Sheriff's Office now. Previous to that, I was a court bailiff here in Barren County for a few years. You know, that kind of gave me a little bit of insight as far as doing transports, seeing these people, dealing with them in the courtrooms. I've never worked in the jail, but I think my budgetary side of it will help us on the front end. And taking the staff, you'll have to make it a team. We'll all have to come together. I'll learn as much as far as on the floor from them, and I'll take care of the budgetary side on my end.
Thank you. And this will be your final question. We'll start with you. The jail operates around the clock. What could interfere with your commitment to being available when you're needed?
Well, the jail will still have regular business hours, Monday through Friday, whatever those hours are set. But the jail is a 24/7 job. With that being said, about the only thing that could come up would be, of course, sickness of my family. But if these things come up, or a church obligation, if these things come up, I've always got my cell phone. I can always be reached on it. For some reason, I have to be out of something to where I can't be there. We'll delegate somebody that can answer the questions and take care of any problem that arises, that they can be reached. There will always be somebody to answer a question or address any situation that comes up.
Thank you. And now for you. A jail operates around the clock. What could interfere with your commitment to be available when you're needed?
I spoke with my family before I ever registered to run for jailer. With my wife having experience in the Marine Corps, she knows that sacrifice is something that you have to do. Me and her both were deputy jailers at the Barren County Detention Center, so we understand the sacrifice and time and the effort that's going to have to go into being jailer. So I can say nothing will interfere with my time. I will always be available.
Thank you both so much. And again, on behalf of the citizens of this great community, we do wish to thank you both for your willingness to run and to serve this community. And ladies and gentlemen, I would ask you please to put your hands together and show your appreciation for these two candidates. Well, thank you very much, everyone, both in this room and online, for joining us tonight to hear from this group of candidates. We'd love to thank our sponsors for this event and our committee, whose unbelievable work that they did to receive these questions, filter through these questions, and provide these questions that came directly from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Greg Farrell. I hope to see you again this Thursday night as you tune in. For you.
Thank you again for coming this evening. Again, we want to remind you that Thursday at the same time, the same spot, we will be having a similar event for our mayor candidates here in Glasgow. We hope to see you back. Thank you. Good night.